Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You guys are watching Batik Studio, and welcome to another episode of Batik. My name is Tosik Aziz. In the studio, we have a very special guest, Mr. Don Atchison, here with us at the studio. Don is running for the mayor of Saskatoon, and Don has previously served as mayor. And today we'll be discussing some of the challenges and issues our city is facing, including the homelessness, crime rate, city transit, and some major changes in downtown of Saskatoon, as well as some health system. So without any further ado, I cordially welcome Mr. Don Atchison. Thank you so much for joining Batik Studio.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a wonderful opportunity to get the message out there so people can hear it straight from the horse's mouth, unedited. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to have a good discussion, Mr. Don.
Yes.
First thing first, how do you feel like to coming back in the game? And you've been serving Saskatoon. You have served Saskatoon a decade ago. And how are you feeling to be part of the game again?
Well, I thoroughly enjoy it, but it's really not about me. It's really about the community as a whole. I just want us to have a better Saskatoon, a healthier, more vibrant city again. I see over the last 8 years, things have gotten worse, and they're not getting better at all. There's lots of things I suppose we're going to be talking about with crime, homelessness, employment, all those things. And they're all near and dear to my heart. And so people ask me, why would you put your name in?
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the reasons. But the other reason is I'm not interested in being called the mayor for the mayor. I want to be the mayor to use the institution of the mayor's office to help make things better in our community.
Mr. Don, we have seen that over last decade, Saskatoon is facing different challenges and issues. And we see that homelessness is one of the critical things that Saskatoon is facing, and this is one of the escalating issue that we are facing. And we have seen in last 10 years that homelessness, number of individuals who are homeless have been increased by 15%. So if elected, how do you address this issue?
Well, first of all, when we talk about homelessness, there's more than one category. Unfortunately, people seem to throw everyone into one pot together and paint everyone with the same brush, and we just can't do that. So first of all, there's mental illness, there's drug addiction, and there's brain injury. Those are separate and apart, and those are things that truly the provincial government's going to have to look after. Then we have families, single parents with children. We have seniors. We have our military veterans. And then we have those that have fallen upon hard times. They went to work today and the door was locked and they didn't get paid. What are they going to do? So those are things that we, in fact, have to be able to deal with. And we're going to deal with them. The part that the city can play in this to help along with the province of Saskatchewan, because this is not a city mandate, but just because it's not a city mandate doesn't mean that we shouldn't be participating as well. So what I see is us having emergency shelters that can be set up for people on a short-term basis, and then they will go into interim housing, and then after that into permanent housing. And the reason I say all three stages is right now in Saskatoon we have a 0.5% vacancy rate, so less than half of 1%.
I see.
So where's everyone going to go? So what we need to do, it's a combination of things. We need to get shelters out there immediately for this winter. That winter is coming. It is going to be 40 or 50 below. And sleeping in a tent or sleeping in a cave just doesn't cut it. And I can tell you right now, there should be no child, no family that should have to sleep under a stairwell, in a foyer, or on top of a heating vent, hoping to stay warm for the night. We as a city can do much better than that, and we will do much better than that at this particular time. So that's part of it. And then the other part is actually get into affordable, attainable housing. And our goal will be to build 10,000 attainable, affordable housing units over the next 10 years. We've done it in the past. What we did at one particular point in time when we were in the same crises, when I was mayor, Our goal at that time was to build 2,500 units over 5 years, and we built 2,624. The city's gotten larger, there's more demand, and we're going to get there with faith-based groups, non-government organizations, private sector people as well. But I want to make it perfectly clear that the city of Saskatoon is not going to own these facilities. That is not part of our mandate. We are not efficient enough. We don't know how to do that. We need to let other groups participate with us as well.
I see. We'll definitely get into that. Another issue, the next issue I want to talk about is the crime rate. If we compare with with your last tenure, about a decade ago, the crime rate has increased by like 5.3%, despite the fact that city was much smaller back then, right? But now the population has increased, so is the homelessness, so is the crime rate. What are your plans and strategies to tackle this challenge?
Well, first of all, the city of Saskatoon should be very thankful to the provincial government. They just announced recently that they're going to supply 37 additional officers for Saskatoon. Now, those officers don't get on the street tomorrow because they're going to have to, first of all, go through interviews, hire them, and then send to the college for training, then come back for on-street training, and then become true police officers. So that's going to take some time. In the meantime, the city needs to hire more as well. The other part we have to do is, right now, we're going to have to look at how the officers are deployed at this particular point in time. And we're going to have to look into that. The other part is we used to have what was called ComStats. ComStats is a wonderful program, and what it does is the analysis of where all the crime is in the city. And so every week, the inspectors get together to see where all the crime is. Are they homicides? Are they break-and-enters? Are they muggings? Are they drug deals? What exactly is it? And then each inspector will be held accountable for their district on how they're going to fix the problem. We did that before, and our crime rate was going down, and I certainly plan on us doing that once again. It's unfortunate that was left behind. The other part is our drug unit as well is going to have to become more active again. Those who break the law are going to have to face consequences. If there are no consequences, people will just do as they please. So those are things that we in fact need to do at this particular point in time.
If elected again, Mr. Don, how are you looking forward to support local small businesses, and how are you going to stimulate the local economic growth? Because we have seen also the escalation in unemployment rate significantly.
Well, in that particular area, first of all, what we're going to do at council, we're going to vote that we're going to be the most business-friendly community in Canada, and that means being friendly to business. Other parts that we're going to do is we're going to look at the permitting that goes on in Saskatoon as well. We're going to have different rates at which you can get your permits approved, kind of like Pure Later.
Yes.
If you want a letter tomorrow, we can get her done. If you want it a week or 10 days from now, we can do that too.
Of course.
And so we're going to have different types of permitting available to businesses as well. Other things we're going to do also is the word no is not going to become part of City Hall once again. It's yes, we can, and yes, we will. And what we're going to do is we're going to tell businesses that when they come in and their plans may not be the correct process for them right now, we'll say to them, if you did this or if you did that, we'll certainly help you with that. Another part also, in order to attract more businesses here, the crime rate needs to go down, but we just finished talking about crime to a certain degree.
Yes.
The other part is affordable housing. Industries, when they come to your community, they want to know crime rate and they want to know what the price of how homes are going to be.
Exactly, yeah.
And the reason they want to know that is because they want to be able to be competitive, not only in Saskatoon, but a lot of these are national, international companies that have to compete on the world stage. And so they can't afford to be having high-priced housing. So we have to be able to have enough housing out there in order to accommodate that. That's when I went back to the 10,000 attainable affordable housing units, rental units, and just regular homes as well. And the regular home side, I think we're going to have to probably get to at least 40 or 50,000 in that area in order to accommodate what's going on in our city.
Let's talk about one of the key projects, which is Lighthouse in Saskatoon.
Okay.
Lighthouse has a significant initiative for supporting vulnerable population. What are your ideas and what is your plan for its future?
Well, first of all, I want you to know, full disclosure, that I was involved with the Lighthouse prior to becoming the Lighthouse. It was called the Voyageur Club, and I was involved with it at that particular point in time, in donations, that sort of thing, to the and support for the organization. And then what happened was it evolved over a period of time, where they kept on adding just a little bit more. And before long, adding all these different pieces to it, you ended up with all different types of needs that were going to have to be addressed. And the Lighthouse is not capable of doing that. And so what's going to have to happen is, it's going to have to break down into what's actually required. What's it going to be used for? Is it going to be used for mental illness? Is it going to be used for drug addiction? Is it going to be used for brain injury? What will it be used for? The original intent of that location was to help people out that were struggling to find work because they weren't mentally capable of doing it. So they became housekeepers, became cook's assistants, that sort of thing. They were receiving training along the way in order to blend into the regular society at that particular time. But that seems to have drifted away and has been lost. So again, it will depend on who's operating it at that time and how we're going to fulfill all the needs in the community. And again, I think when we talk about mental illness, drug addiction, I don't think downtown is the right location for it at all. And I don't think having families downtown at this particular point in time, larger families with older children, they need to be able to get out into playgrounds and that and burn off some energy. So there's a lot of work that's going to have to be done in that area.
Exactly. Talking about the crime rate and safety on the streets, we shouldn't forget about discussing the city transit. What are your strategies keeping the bus operators safe? Because in recent couple of years, we have seen a few bus operators faced those fascism and some misbehavior from citizens.
Yes, when you talk about that, first of all, this plastic shield that they put around them, curtain, they claim that it certainly has helped a bit, but that's not what we need. I hate to say it, but having come back from other cities where the operators are fully protected from the passengers is a sad commentary to have to say about Saskatoon, but we're going to have to do something like that. We're going to have to make sure that they're looked after, safe and sound. The other thing we need to do is we can use ComStats again, algorithms and that from it, and what transpires is you can find out what times a day the high crime is or the abuse towards operators is. You don't put uniform officers on, you put plainclothes officers on. So if people don't want to pay their fares, whatever the case is, or they're causing a disturbance, they can be dealt with in an appropriate manner by the police service and by the Justice Department. Having security officers on the buses is of no value, really, at the end of the day. They have no authority, they have no power, and by the same token, I don't want them to be put into a dangerous situation either. So those are things that we're going to have to do on that side of things.
Mr. Don, we have been hearing lots of people talking about the new developments in downtown of Saskatoon, including the library and the city arena. Yes. How do you envision these projects benefiting the communities living in Saskatoon?
Okay, well, those are two substantial questions that are there. First of all, let's deal with the library quickly.
Yes.
In 2020, I said that the library should be put on pause, that the business model is 100% wrong, that there is no way that they could build the library for what they said they were going to build it for, and I've been proven correct on all points. So it's going to happen. My biggest fear is that they're going to get half finished, the library, and come back with this major announcement they've run out of money. So they need to be looking at a new business plan already, formulating what they can do. The taxpayers are tapped out.
I see.
There's if you wish to say, a tax revolt out there at this time. And people have had enough. They want to see efficiencies created. So that's a major issue that's going to have to be dealt with. The next one is with the deed downtown, or as I like to call it, Cynthia's Ice Palace. That rink downtown right now, they claim will be $6.5 million. It is not possible to complete the project for $6.5 million. Edmonton just finished theirs, and that was $6.5 million 5 years ago. Calgary's in the process right now of building one with all the environmental standards that the city of Saskatoon aspires to have, and they're talking about it being $979 million. And I don't think we can escape for less than $1.2 billion. And if you can't pay for snow removal and you have to go out and borrow $20 million, how do you expect to operate this? And two of the candidates are saying it's not going to be added to your property taxes at all. Well, they've also said it's going to be a $500,000 subsidy a year. Where's that $500,000 subsidy a year going to come from for the operational side? From the taxpayers. Exactly. The whole plant needs to be rethought again. Other things that are going to happen if they went out tomorrow and were to apply for funding from the federal government for $625 million and it was $1.2 billion, the federal government won't give you a nickel more. The province won't. You signed the deal. That's it. We'd have to pick up the additional $600 million. The whole thing needs to be rethought, revisited. They talk about being open and transparent at City Hall right now. That's the last thing that we had here with this particular project right now. People are unfamiliar, not sure what's really going on, and they think that this is being forced on them, and that's not the way it should be done. It should be very similar to what we did with River Landing, Circle Drive South, and projects like that.
Would you be still believing and planning to keep our city, Saskatoon, 15-minute city? Even with the fact, keeping in mind that population has increased?
I don't think that 15-minute city is on for me at all. I aspire for us to have, for example, lots of shopping in neighborhoods and that, having all the services there. I see downtown being rejuvenated, not as it was back in the 50s and 60s, where people was the hub where everyone came to. I see this having 20, 30,000 people living down here that provide all the professional services and amenities. And yes, it'll have a few more things than what other communities around the city and neighborhoods have right now. So that's where I'm at on that particular project.
And I do have reports in front of me that you have some innovative partnerships with like 4 bridges, and you also did historic partnership with schools and river landing developments. Are you well, you wouldn't be really satisfied with the current governance within the city, but what are the key things that you are going to follow to make your governance different?
Well, first of all, we're going to get back to having ward meetings. And what ward meetings are, the mayor goes out every single year to every ward in the city and sits down with the residents to hear what their concerns are. And I would bring the administration with me once again also. Because when you do that, that's when you really find out what's on people's minds. And it makes a significant difference. And the other one that we would actually add one more, and that was for the business community to have one evening where they could come and we could have those discussions as well. So that's the first thing. The next part is actually dealing with faith-based.
I see.
I am a big believer in faith, and I believe that faith-based groups in our community do a tremendous amount of good. And I'm not talking about religions, I'm talking about faith. And I see what happens in our community today, how they, in fact, are working and assisting in our community. They do a lot of things that people have no idea what they're doing. The non-government organizations, we're going to work closer with them as well. And then, again, with the private sector. We're also, if we're doing any significant projects, and we don't really have the funding to do it right now, but when we did Circle Drive South, that was a design build. River Landing was a wonderful project. And then when we did the traffic bridge and the Mistawasa Bridge, it was called a P3. First of its kind in Canada, where 2 bridges were put together, where the private sector, the public sector got together, and we actually did that work with the private sector. It was wonderful. And you can see when you drive the steel bridge how great it is. If you drive from Central and Attridge north, you don't see potholes. You see the roads cleared of snow almost immediately after a significant snowfall. And those are things that we can do once again. I look at schools and that. We need to work closer with the provincial government in those areas. The federal government having great relationships once again. I was able to work with the Liberal governments, the Conservative governments, NDP governments, and the Sask Party governments.
Yeah, perfect. Don, I wish we had some more time to talk about City of Saskatoon. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and plans with us today, and those were definitely some comprehensive tips and plans. We're excited seeing our Saskatoon growing and shining again. So once again, thank you so much for joining us at Batik Studio.
Well, thank you very much, and I can't believe the time just flew by like it did, and it was wonderful to be with you. And for the residents in our city, I just want us to have a city that brings common sense back to City Hall, and that we have a healthy and vibrant, safe and secure community for everyone to be able to walk in and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. That sounds wonderful. All right. Thank you so much to our listeners for tuning in to our another episode of Batik Studio. Don't forget to subscribe and stay updated on all our episodes. Until next time, take care and stay informed.